from Casera. Hurley's on the outside as they head to turn 1. Good clean start though. But who's going to make it into the run to the first turn? Hurley looks as though he's got the better line. Casera has recovered well after that wheel spin, and it's neck and neck, but Hurley takes it. Josh Hurley takes the lead, and a great clean start. Really, really impressive. Clean start by all the boys there, but it's Josh Hurley who leads the way from the West Coast. And Josh Hurley leading Tyler Casera, and nothing between them. But that was a good clean start from the front row as they dive through turn 3 for the first time. It's Casera in second. Hurley leads the way. Rydquist third. Correa up to 4th place. Dylan Archer is 5th. Southern, Savagian, Merrill, Allen, and Vaccaro. That's your top 10. Montoya, Sebastian, that is just outside of that top 10. And Borchetta's 500 laps paying off. He's moved up to 12th position already, Ben.
Yeah, Scott is really doing well with his Big Machine Vodka Corvette with teammate Edward Savagian, who's currently in 7th place. Scott did over 500 laps in practice, and I know Scott, he's a really hard worker, and it's paying off right now with him, Jonathan.
Yeah, no question about it. We're looking towards also the back to see where the big fast boys are coming through. Legacy Junior's down in 21st place. Look at Francis. He's up to 18th now, behind Norbauer and Di Francesco. Lachlan Di Francesco's lost a place. But look at Tyler Casera. He's coming and coming fast on Hurley. He wants to try and clear him because these two are on a different pace than the rest of the field. And it's definitely going to be a two-way race. But can Carl Rydquist? That's the question. Stay with him. I said in qualifying, my eyes are on Carl Rydquist because he knows this track. He's done a 24-hour endurance race at this track before in GT3, so watch out for him later in the race. But it's a good clean start, and look, battles going on throughout the field as they start to spread out here and head down towards turn 1 again. 11 laps in all. There is Ernie Francis Jr. And he's already coming up on the number 23. And really good battles. Ernie Francis Jr. making his way up. He's just got past Di Francesco, Lachlan, and is now chasing down Lawrence. And I think he's going to have a harder time passing Lawrence, who's also another winner. Both Francis and Cameron Lawrence have a win each. Lawrence winning at Atlanta, and Francis winning at home last time out at Daytona. There's no question he's got to grips with this. He was a little disappointed, but he did cut the bus stop in qualifying, and that's why he did not allow to qualify. The organisers here are very strict about penalties, and instead of, well, they add weight at the end of the race if they feel that there was a fisticuffs that was too desperate. But if anybody starts to cut corners, and that could happen here in Barcelona, then they will act for the following race. So you've got to be careful. But we've got some great racing, and you've got to be careful not to hit anybody. Dylan Archer gets a nudge there and almost loses it out. Southern gets past him, but Ben, things are heating up.
Yeah, things are definitely heating up. I'm really impressed with our newcomer, Correa, in this series, already in 4th place. Somehow saved it. I thought he was going to get punted off the corner there by Archer. But then we've got Francis and Lawrence, who started in the back in 14th and, 15th and 13th now. But you have insider information from one of our racers against Lawrence. Can you fill the crowd in on that?
About Cameron?
Yeah, you said that Rydquist said something about
I was talking to Carl Rydquist, and he said that Cameron Lawrence, I said, so who's the toughest guy? If you saw your mirrors and you said, I'm not looking forward to this next few laps. He said Cameron Lawrence. He said he's a tough guy. He said for 2 reasons. He doesn't give an inch, he won't give an inch, and he's fast. And he said that combination is really tough. He said when Casera and Josh Hurley come past, they've got more kind of sim etiquette, if that's the right word. Lawrence is aggressive, but that's Trans Am racing. And Carl Rydquist quite rightly pointed out that when he gets back to real racing, he'll know who the tough guys are. And Lawrence has proved, because he's a double champion in the real world, and here he is now, that Cameron Lawrence is no slouch when it comes to Trans Am racing. As they dive into 5, he's got Francis all over the back of him now, downhill towards turn 6, back on the power. A little bit of a moment there by Cameron Lawrence and Francis looking to swoop as they head down towards turn 6, 2nd gear up to 3rd near, and a quick blip through 7. Now the long right-hander, which is 9, and this is a flat-out corner in 3rd gear, changing up to 4th here in the middle of the apex, and Francis now winding himself up. What he'll try to do here, Ben, is tuck himself up behind and see if he can... oh no, he's going for it now at 10. Oh, they took each other out. Francis takes out Cameron Lawrence, and that will... Oh, Super Jens is going to be all over that. Our race director will not like that much, but that was a mistake. And I've got to say, well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because it was at the breaking point into La Caixa, turn 10, and Francis just hit the back of Lawrence, and maybe Lawrence braked early, who knows, but it doesn't matter. Both men in trouble now as we go on board with Thomas Merrill down the front straight.
Yeah, and Thomas Merrill has a lot of experience racing worldwide. He raced with Bentley for a while in the IMSA series, so I'm guessing he's probably been here in real life and spent a lot of time racing sims, but he's behind Edward Savajian. And Merrill and Savajian and Archer and JP Southern, they've been going at it neck and neck each race. They always seem to be in that top 6, top 8. And let's see if Thomas Merrill can get by him.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be Savajian if he really is suffering from motion sickness. Barcelona is not the place to come to as they dive down to the 80-kilometer second gear turn 5. And we are looking at Thomas Merrill all over the Texan that is Edward Savajian of the Big Machine Vodka sponsored car. He and Borchetta in that, and that's who Tony Kanaan was running for. We hope to have TK back. But we've also got Adrian Fernandez. I hardly had a chance to talk about him so far, but certainly the man cracking the whip here in 4th position. Juan Manuel, and yes, if you wondered if he was named after the great Fangio, it is true. I met Juan Manuel Correa at the Toyota Racing Series in New Zealand a few years ago, and he remains one of the big hopefuls for Formula One for young American drivers. And had it not been for that big accident, I think he was very, very close to being on the cusp of Formula One. He's already made it all the way through single-seaters and into Formula 2, and that's where he had his crash, but he hopes to get back. And this sim racing is getting him, well, he actually said in his press conference that he's really enjoying doing the sim racing because it stops his cravings for real racing. And I understood that perfectly. But it's great to see he and Wickens taking full advantage of their rehab and going racing and enjoying it too. Back with Lawrence out of the last corner. Gets very fast and high, and I think this last corner is imperative here because you get good drive out of here, Ben, for this long run downhill to the famous turn 1 to Barcelona. And the first turn is definitely one of the most best overtaking positions, because you can also do an overtake into turn 2 if you've got that outside line. So you may see, and we saw in one of the practice races, Ernie Francis Jr. trying that on. And Francis Jr. now up to 12th place behind Borchetta, Ben.
Yeah, we were talking to our drivers, and they said coming out of the last turn 13, if you can get a good run into turn 1, the inside line is where you kind of want to be, but just if you're side by side taking that outside line, then you have the advantage into turn 2. But something I want to point out, Jonathan, I've watched this track in Formula One, but our camera operators are really doing a good job of showing the undulation and the elevation changes here at Barcelona.
Yep. And remember, don't forget, we've got this is going to be interesting how Francis plays this, because right now, Francis going to try to take, 10th position, because if he could take 10th position, overtake both Montoya and Borchetta, that's not a sentence you say often, he could get into 10th position where Lawless Allen is, and Montoya currently sits, and then start the second race with that reverse top 10 in pole position. And we spoke to Francis Jr. earlier in the week, and he said that's the plan. There's Lawless Allen. He is currently in 9th.
Yeah, Ernie Francis, I say this week after week, but he is just the smartest driver in any field. He's always got the championship in his mind. If I were a team owner, he'd be my first sign-up because he always thinks for the championship. So his strategy was just to finish 10th so that he can start on pole for the next race. And it looks like he's putting that strategy to work as he comes up on Scott Borchetta.
Yeah, you can see, looking back from Scott Borchetta and the Big Machine Vodka car, the number 89. He's got Francis all over him now as they dive into turn 3. The next opportunity is Repsol at 4. Not an easy place to overtake there. Francis stays, but oh no! Francis has gone for it at Repsol. Superb overtake by our champion. And Ernie Francis Jr. says thank you very much, and through he goes, and he made that look easy. But Francis Jr. is on a tear. He's up to 11th now, having just got past Borchetta, and now he's got time with 6 of the 11 gone to catch the man in front. And Francis Jr. now goes in pursuit of Sebastian Montoya, the 15-year-old.
Yeah, we're riding on board following along with JP Southern. And if you look at this from the 5, 6, and 7, so you've got Dylan Archer following right behind, then Savajian, and then Merrill. Some great racers. It seems like these 4 guys just always seem to meet up in any race that we're at, even in real life. And it's really fun to watch these guys because they go at it. And look, there's our newcomer Correa right in front of JP Southern. But Jonathan, this racing has just been more and more exciting week after week.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've got JP Southern, who's been here in America racing in single-seaters, and then you've got another American from Miami, Florida, Juan Manuel Correa, who's been racing most of his life in Europe. So I doubt that Southern and Correa have ever actually crossed paths too many times. Maybe in karting back in the day, but meanwhile, back at the front, Hurley is now controlling this race. He's got a 2.4-second lead over Tyler Caceres. We look back to the 25 of Lawless Allen, now getting close attention behind him. Allen and Merrill together on track, and just ahead of them is Borchetta and Savajian, and it's going to be interesting. Francis up to 11th. He's got Montoya in his sights now, and he's just 1.8 seconds behind. Racino not having a great race yet. He's down in 13th position, and also not making any inroads. Adrian Loskowski is struggling a little bit, down in 26th position, and a DNF it looks like for Devlin DiFrancesco. I'm not sure he even got to start this race, but his brother did get involved. But we have a doozy of a battle going on here. Hurley still leading by 2.4 seconds. We're getting down to the business end of this first race. Who's going to win it and who's going to come 10th, I wonder? Montoya still holding that position at the moment, but Francis is right there with him. Let's get back to this battle as we look at Dylan Archer. And Dylan Archer is what we call a future Trans Am driver. What does that mean, Ben?
Well, he's kind of a legacy, if you will. Dylan Archer is the son of Bobby Archer and his uncle's Tommy Archer, who are Trans Am legends from back in the day in the 80s and 90s, and just road racing legends. And so now Dylan is here, and talking to his dad and uncle, they have plans to get Dylan in an actual Trans Am car here coming up soon.
Nice move from Mercado into 19th position. That was a good overtake at Lecaxa to make that position through, and great to have Mercado Jr. alongside and getting the laps in. He too was taking part in a lot of practice over the week leading up to this race. I think everybody was excited. They took a vote. Some people wanted to go to Silverstone, some wanted to go to Brands Hatch, but Barcelona won outright. So this is obviously a track that holds a lot of reverence to our drivers, who obviously have not done a lot of racing in Europe. Very few of them have. Doug Winston there in the number 39. And it's great that everybody's got their liveries up and running now, because we really get a chance to see some of the sponsors and some of the personalities of our drivers, and really starting to get to know some of them, really enjoying this E-Championship. In fact, I think I've spent more time talking to drivers in the E-Championship than I get to do in real life, because everybody's busy when they're at a race. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. And watching this race back here is Adrian Lostowski and Doug Winston. It's really fun because they've been with us from the beginning in this e-racing, especially Adrian. He was kind of like our volunteer IT guy for all the drivers. And it was really fun to listen to him and the knowledge that he has with all the new things. You know, we're used to dealing with fuel injectors and carburetors and you know, things like that. And now we're having to deal with servers and bit rates.
Yeah, it's a whole new ball game. Borchetta, the man who is teammate to this man, Savajian, was telling us his computer blew up halfway through the week, and he had to get an all-new computer to go racing again. So it's not without its dramas, this e-racing. I was joking to John Claggett this morning, saying these guys are spending so much on competing against each other in the virtual world. It's going to outdo the costs that they got in the real world. They'll be wondering what to do if they get a bit of damage in the real world next time out.
Yeah, and now we watch, so the strategy, I've been watching Lawless Allen. He seems to have it the best coming out of 13, and we watched Ernie just take out of 13 as he comes up on Montoya, and this is the passing zone Ernie was telling us about. Let's see if he can get by. Looks like he's not going to be able to get by Montoya here, but man, this track is really fun to watch. Great racing track for spectators.
Well, let's watch him through 3 here, and we're looking back from Montoya. He goes very wide there, gets good drive, and this is Repsol coming up, the right-hander, and that's where Ernie Francis Jr. went for it last time, but he obviously isn't close enough this time. And as they head round this long right-hander down the hill again towards 5, heavy braking into 5 here. That's why Francis comes almost alongside. He'll now try the switch back, and the next is a left-hander at 6, but again, Francis waiting, just patiently waiting for an overtake. His best hope is to just tuck himself up and wait for a good run out of 9, which is coming up very shortly, and they bounce over the curves. Montoya makes a mistake, and now Francis will go towards 9, almost side by side. This is good racing, and Francis has got the run on him as they head through 9 and down towards 10. Lakayaxa, a good overtaking place if you can get it right. He goes to the outside, but has he got it? Round the outside, Francis tries it, and that's good defensive driving from the youngster Montoya. Well, he's a chip off the old block, his old Montoya. He's not giving an inch, and he's representing the famous 42 very proudly, because that's a classic Montoya move. But through goes Ernie Francis, and he's finally done him, but he had to work that one, didn't he? Wow, great racing, but Francis is through.
Yeah, and it's right to plan. And, you know, if I know anything about Ernie Francis Jr., I know that Ernie Francis Sr. is probably watching and spotting and saying, hey, you got to get one more position to get 10th. And he's got that with, well, we're coming up on 1 lap to go, Jonathan.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Juan Pueblo is standing behind youngster Sebastian saying, okay, no more fighting. You've got a front row start for the second race, and you're going to be with Ernie Francis Jr., and then you can pull the gloves off and go for it then. But no more racing in this race on the penultimate lap as we take a look at Hurley in first position still by 2.7 seconds. So that battle between he and Casera never really transpired, and Hurley has just controlled this race at the front, but we're looking at more battles down to Merrill, who's still trying to get past Lawless Allen, and Allen racing for the first time in Europe. Thomas Merrill, as you've mentioned, has raced all over the world, and I wonder if he's raced here. He's probably likely to have been here.
Yeah, I think so, but the one I'm really wanting to see right now is Correa. He's really doing well with JP Southern right behind him, but what a great showing for him.
And by the way, go online, go on YouTube, put Juan Manuel Correa's name in and look for the video where he talks about his rehab and his sim setup. His leg, his right leg is pinned in several places. It looks awful in terms of wanting to get around, but he is fighting, and he is fighting over it, and he is sim racing, and he's having fun, and he's here in Trans Am for the first time, and we welcome him. Here he is, the number 68. Coming out of the last turn, on to the final lap then. Juan Manuel Correa in 4th position in his first ever Trans Am showing. Through goes Rydquist, looking for his first podium. Good news for the Swede, Carl Rydquist, who's been racing on sims, or at least games, since he was 5 years old. He used to play the Daytona 500 game, he told me. And he used to race up in the sim, against Boris Said, who was in the game because he was one of the top drivers at the time, and now he's really racing, Boris Said. Sadly, Boris, though, down in 25th at the moment. He's still getting used to sim racing as Boris, but Carl Rydquist of Sweden doing the business here, heading for his first podium, and he's been consistent. He can put himself as a contender now as he dives towards 5 again.
Yeah, so much fun to watch this final lap. I'm really happy for Carl Rydquist because he's really put in the work to get this podium, but for Correa to finish top 4 in his basically his debut at Trans Am really shows the talent of this driver.
Yeah, no question about it. Josh Hurley, I was talking to him in the week. He's off to VIR to do some instructing later this week, and so he's a busy boy, Josh Hurley, and hasn't put as many hours as he wants to in the sim in terms of practicing, but it hasn't really slowed him down at all. And it just shows you how proficient he is, because he's absolutely dominated this race. Got the lead from the start. Casera got a little bit of wheel spin from the get-go, but it's all been Josh Hurley. And here comes Hurley to take the checkered flag and win race 1 at Barcelona, round 4 of the championship. And our championship leader puts another win, his 3rd of the year. Hurley's done it again here in Europe. Across the line in 2nd comes Casera. Rydquist takes the podium, he's 3rd. And Juan Manuel Correa, in his first ever Trans Am race, will cross the line in 4th place. JP Sutton is 5th. Another youngster, Archer, is 6th. Stavagian of Texas is 7th. Lawless Allen, 8th. Merrill, 9th. And Ernie Francis Jr. does the business and does what he wanted to do. Montoya in a battle at the end there with Racino right to the line, and Montoya gets the better of him. Montoya finishing 11, Racino 12, Borchetta 13. Great result by Scott Borchetta. I'm sure, Ben, you'd have something to say about that. He has been practicing and it's paid off.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch all these guys, and the racing gets better week after week. I do have a funny story, though. I texted Thomas Merrill to see if he had raced here, and during the race, he texted me back, no. So Super Yens, we've got drivers that are racing and texting at the same time.
Oh, that's a no-no. Well, we'll have to talk to race control about that, but I love his coolness. I do love his coolness.
It's impressive.
Well, I tell you what, I thought Barcelona would be a bit of more of a struggle for these guys because it is a tough course. It's technical. And like you say, the game, Assetto Corsa, interestingly, Correa, when he found out it was the Assetto Corsa platform, he said, I couldn't refuse. He said, as soon as I found it was Assetto Corsa, he said, this is the best place to go racing in sims. And so I jumped straight in, and his good friend Devlin DiFrancesco introduced him. Delighted for him, no question about it. Winston pulls off track, and that concludes our first race from Barcelona. Beautiful shot of the Catalan hills in the background as Barcelona quietens down for a moment because there's not going to be much respite for this social distancing crowd because they'll be back out again with the reverse top 10. Confirmation of the result. Hurley with the win, Kisera second, Rydquist his first podium, Correa, Southern Archer, Savajian, Allen, Merrill, and Francis Jr. rounding out the top 10, which means he will start pole for the second race. We'll take a short break. We'll be back from Barcelona after this. Montoya sends it on Micasano. He's so close. Welcome back to Barcelona in Spain. It's round 4 of the Trans Am presented by Pirelli Championship. Jonathan Green and Ben Sistel taking you through the action where Josh Hurley of California has just taken his third race win of the series ahead of his hard-charging opponent, Tyler Kisera, who didn't put a foot wrong either. Rydquist gets onto the podium, and that's good news for him. And I really do hope that the Race 2 is as good as Race 1. But then it gives us a chance between races to talk about the real world and also talk about the future of this e-racing championship.
Yeah, you know, we are just having way too much fun. This is a great time. John Claggett, we got to give him all the respect for putting this together in such short order, in such a short amount of time. Everybody is having a fantastic experience with this, and we are going to continue. Our plans right now are to go back to racing June 25th and June 28th at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but we are going to keep this e-racing because it's just way too much fun to stop doing it.
Yeah, and I think there's been so much investment with the competitiveness that this has brought out of them. Everybody's buying equipment and gear and hardware and everything else. So I think, yeah, they're going to carry on e-racing for sure. really going to enjoy this. But yeah, looking forward to going to Mid-Ohio, and hopefully some of the future guys who've had their experience will join. We hear rumors that Dylan Archer is looking to get a real drive in TA2. That's good news. Mark Miller, who had to pull out today, our champion, he'll be there, I hope, in the E-Championship. But he said to me in an interview, he's going to race IMSA this year, but he wants back in Trans Am because it's so much fun. And who knows?
Hey,
Boris said been around. Well, go ahead, Ben.
I've got some insider information. Thomas Merrill during this break just texted me. He said, it's so hard to pass here. These things are surprisingly aero dependent. Easy to lose the front, the fast corners when trying to get a run. So there's some insider information from the guy that finished ninth, Thomas Merrill, in his HP Tuners Corvette.
Well, I think the answer is, Merrill, put your phone away and then get your run.
He did admit to me, because I guess he heard that, so he said that he was texting back after the checker.
Well, you know, with this modern technology. Well, there's the grid then. Reverse top 10 sees Francis Jr. on the right-hand side in pole. Out go the lights, and away we go for race 2 from Barcelona, and it is Francis Jr. of Florida who leads them away. Good clean start again, no real wheel spin, but Francis hasn't got it all to his own. He's got to be careful here because De Francisco is coming up the inside. That's the 81 of Thomas Merrill, and Merrill goes through. Merrill has gone through. We'll call that one in then, Thomas. Nice work. Now he might be texting Ben. What's he saying? Is he liking his lead?
I think he's right where he wants to be, but man, there's nothing I would hate more than to have Ernie Francis Jr. in my rearview mirrors.
Francis and Merrill calling it in quite literally as Francis takes second. Lawless Allen is right up there in third. Now we've got a battle of the youngsters for sure. Archer's up there in fourth. Stavagian in fifth place. Correa, who got a fourth place last time out, is in sixth. Southern is seventh. Rydquist is eighth. We've got all the youngsters in the top 7. Montoya just outside that. He is 9th. Hurley Burley starts 10th, and he'll be coming through. Casera drops to 12th. Work to do for Tyler Casera, but he will want to get as many points as will Hurley. What Hurley and Casera do so well in these reverse grids, because they've run the most amount of races so far, is they side their way through the pack carefully, but they do it well, and they finish maybe 3rd or 4th in the second reverse grid, which is why they're on top of the points. And Francis Jr. now will be trying to make hay. He had a brilliant win at Daytona, and now can he stay with Merrill for the rest of this race and even challenge maybe for another win? Montoya moves up. Casera's up to 10th place already.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough to pass Nick Racino. Well, he just did. But Nick Racino is one of those guys that's always up there in the top 8. He's had a little bit of trouble in that last race, but Casera just got by him, and let's see what he can do with Correa on his tail.
Down the long main straight here at Barcelona, the roar of the Trans Ams here, echoing through the Catalan hills, and the Spanish fans are loving it. Paella tonight downtown with Claggett and the clan. That's the plan. Can't wait to hit the Ramblas. Hit the beach on Monday, bit of golf on Tuesday, and we'll be back in the office by Wednesday. Oh, I dream. Anyway, it's Merrill who's not dreaming. He is doing a superb job right now in the 81. Remember, Thomas Merrill, a fantastic real-life driver, has yet to win in the E-Championship, and I'll bet it's getting to him a little bit.
Yeah, Thomas Merrill is used to being at the front and used to winning, and for him not to have a win yet, I know that that's eating at him, but man, it's too competitive. This series is too competitive to be upset without winning. You're really fighting for a top 5, top 8 finish, and you should feel like that's a victory.
Well, I know he's taking it seriously. He's been fighting in the protest room here during the week. He's currently 8th in the championship for HB Tuner's Deal Merrill Racing, and on 97 points, so he's only 3 adrift of going up the board a little bit. So this is an important race as we go back with Hurley, who's already making his way through, but look at the traffic he's having to deal with. Josh Hurley and Casera both trying to get past Montoya, and Montoya lashes out at Hurley, I think that was. And, Rydquist's in the middle of it. Casera's in the middle of it. They're all chasing Sebastian Montoya, who's getting as wide as his dad would ever do in an Indy car, and he's doing just the job. And just like Juan Pablo would have told him, stay wide, my friend. Keep them behind you. That's racing.
Yeah, and Jonathan, I'm going to ask you again, what advice would you give Casera and Hurley? Would you tell them to play it conservative, or did you tell them to try to work their way up through the field?
You tell me, but the way they're going at it right now, it looks as though they're pulling paint and panels. I'm glad that Ernie Francis has not got his usual team here, because they'd have a lot of reparations to do afterwards. But as you can see, Casera is not holding back. He's now coming up on Rydquist, and he is not holding back. Rydquist, though, knows the track. Done a 24-hour race here. Got his first podium. Got the confidence, but now Casera wants by him. I don't think Hurley or Casera is holding back whatsoever. Hurley now in 10th place. Casera in 8th position. And I think what Casera's plan is, he's got to try and get ahead of this group and leave Hurley for dust, because the more points he can gain on Hurley, remember there's only 5 between them when they started the weekend here in Barcelona. You can see Hurley struggling to get past the traffic as we go on board up through 6 and 7. 3rd gear through here, there you see. Out through 8 and then into the long, fast 4th gear, turn 9. He's got Racino ahead of him. And now the first real major overtaking position after the first corner at 10, and he looks to the inside, and I think he's got, oh, there's trouble! Oh, there's trouble ahead of Hurley, and he avoids it. I think Rydquist might have been involved in that. Casera's got through, and now Casera and Hurley are together on track again. It's all going on. Big drama in Barcelona.
Yeah, I think that was Montoya and Rydquist that got into the wall there as we follow along with Ernie Francis and Thomas Merrill.
Oh, look at this. Trans Am at its finest in Barcelona. Two of the best proponents of the sport heading side by side, just as Senna and Mansell did in 91. But this time it's Ernie Francis Jr. and Thomas Merrill. And Francis Jr. says, I want the lead and I'm taking it. Through goes the champion. Brilliant stuff. And I tell you what, I wonder if one South, well, I'm wondering if they made a good decision. I think they did.
Yeah, I would say so. Ernie, again, everything is to plan. I don't know how he can do it in a race because usually all plans go out. Ooh, we had contact there.
Yeah, Southern goes south, and that was at turn 2. He got a heavy knock there, JP, but he's back out on track. And that turn 2 is always a tough place for coming together there because you're changing direction from turn 1. As we go back to Scott Borchetta, looking back at him. Oh, hijinks behind. Well, they're a lot more aggressive in this race too. They played well together in the sandpit that is Barcelona Catalonian circuit in the first race, but now the gloves are off in race 2, and we've got quite a lot of hard-charging boys. Lostowski, the man I mentioned, is up to 15th position, much better showing. Rydquist got involved in that incident. He's now down to 13th position, not where he needs to be. But the current situation sees Francis leading by a second over Merrill. Archer now up to 3rd. Lawless Allen is 4th. Savagin is 5th. And Casera is up to 6th. Josh Hurley right behind him. This is great stuff because the two championship contenders are 6th and 7th on the road. And Francis Jr. is headed for his second win.
Yeah, and it's going to be really tough for Casera and Hurley to get by Savagin. I hope we can get a camera on that. But look at this fight up front. Look at this top 5 right here. It is so competitive.
You know, you said it last time out. You said what you love about Francis Jr. is how much he thinks about this. And he played race 1 to perfection. He knew he wanted 10th place. He took his time. He did his 10th position overtake on the penultimate lap. Held station. Montoya proved to be a really tough fighter, and he had to push hard to get past him as we go on board with 3rd place Dylan Archer. And look how close he is to Merrill here as we go on board. This is good racing between these two, and then it's hard to work out as we head towards turn 5, where his real next opportunity for an overtake is. He thought about it, didn't he? Into turn 5, that's one of the slowest corners, about 80k through there. Next at 6, and a mistake there by Merrill as he goes wide, down the hill into 6. Here they come. Down through the gearbox to 3rd gear now. Little jink to 7 and 8, and then it's up to 9, opening up the horsepower through 9. You can take a nice wide exit, but it is a blind crest over 9, and you've got to be careful to handle it all together. There's a lot of grass down there, and then the first real overtaking opportunity into La Caxa 10, and no chance this time, but it's close, really close. Archer doing a really good job of staying with Merrill and trying to force Merrill into a mistake. And as you pointed out, Merrill was saying to you, not a lot of places to overtake. And I think what Archer's plan is almost to try to force a mistake. And there he makes one himself then. We go back with Ricardo Jr. in the number 5, up to 16th position. That's a good result for the number 5. Robert Ricardo Jr. from Livermore, California. Great to have him on board.
Yeah, you know, something that I've noticed, I don't think Cameron Lawrence has this track. Cameron Lawrence is always one of our fastest. He had bad luck in the first race, and now he's back at 15th place fighting with Adrian Lostowski.
Yep, there he is, the Three-Dimensional Services, and I want to do a shout-out to Doug Peterson and the Three-Dimensional Services, who have been doing some groundbreaking work for the COVID crisis, and so too has Kerry Hitt, I may add, and several others. Even Tyler Casera was telling me that his Tate company, which is in the entertainment world, has also been making some special stuff. And interestingly enough, Casera was telling me that he likes to use VR because he uses it at work. He has a big entertainment company, which he's one of the creative heads of, and he uses VR all the time. So it's not a big jump for him.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Once the field found out that the top 2 guys are using VR, I feel like there have been 6 or 7 drivers that went out and bought themselves their own VR headset just because of that.
You mentioned Eric Joyner joining us, so to speak. There he is in the number 10. Great to have him on board as well.
Yeah, he's a really fast sports car racer from California. Had a great showing with us at Sebring, and we really hope to see him in the Trans Am series, but it's great to see him in the Trans Am Esports.
Well, that's gonna. I tell you what, he's gonna need a few cervezas after that, because that's gonna hurt in the morning, I think. But anyway, he's in the right place to do it. They serve good cerveza down here in Barcelona. Looking forward to getting down to the Round Blast tonight. But it's Francis Jr., a 1:42.6. Merrill behind him. Archer. The gap between Francis and Merrill has extended to just over 2.4 seconds. So Francis is in control with 7 laps gone, but the battle is on for Archer and Merrill. Archer still in 3rd place, and we've been watching that battle. Back to the 38 Savagin. He's in 5th at the moment for Big Machine Vodka. And Edward Savagian has certainly got over his jitters of VR.
Yeah, he has. He said he was car sick at first, but if you notice, Casera and Hurley are really having a hard time catching up to Savagian in that front pack. They've kind of been at the same length behind him, about 2 seconds behind Savagian the whole time. This front pack of guys right here, up to top 8, are really running consistent laps, and it's really hard for Hurley and Casera to catch them.
Well, you were asking me a few minutes ago how Hurley and Casera would play this. If you look at the damage to Hurley's car, he's been hit a couple of times. Now, we asked the game about that, and effectively, if you do damage the car, you're not thrown out the game, or you don't have to come in the pits, but the top speed may be affected. And I've got a feeling that Casera and Hurley are just holding station right now. They were in all sorts of fights earlier on, and I think a good position of 6th or 7th without pushing too hard on Savagian might just be where they want to settle for this one. They'll both score good points. They've got an eye on each other. Hurley knows he's got the advantage as long as he keeps Casera in his sights. He might have a lunge towards the end of this race. We'll see. I'd love to see it happen, but they're certainly in a good position. Now I say that, Savagian is coming into view now. He did a 1:43.4. And look at this, Casera does a 1:42.0 and Hurley does a 1:41.9. So throw out everything I just said, because here comes Casera and Hurley, and they're now about to attack Savagian in the closing stages of this one. Allen in 4th place in the number 25 has got work to do, because if he doesn't get the hurry up, he's going to have 3 cars all over the back of him in the closing stages of this one. Ben hotting up nicely in Barcelona.
Oh yeah, and this, it never disappoints. We're 8 laps in, and it's all of a sudden, right when we're saying that, it looks like Casera and Hurley both said, okay, now 3-4 laps to go, we're going to turn it on and we're going to try to win this race. It looks like they're going to try to march their way right back through it.
Yeah, meanwhile, at the front, Ernie Francis Jr. putting in the laps. He's increased that lead now to 2.7 seconds as we go back and look at Scott Lagasse Jr. from St. Augustine, Florida. And great to see Lagasse Jr. He has upgraded. Everybody worried about, there was people donating seats to him because he was on his daughter's deck chair, but he's evidently been on Amazon and he's upgraded. And although that was a bit interesting move, but he's upgraded some of his gear and he's back in action, and that's why he's starting to come up the board just a little bit. Good to see Lagasse Jr., one of our favorites, out there now in 17th place. Now, Casera all over the back of Edward Savagian, and the question is, where? He's almost nudging him, and Hurley waiting in the background. But if he makes a mistake, oh, a little bit of oversteer as they come down the hill into the last corner for Casera. He's trying onto the main straight. Now, the idea here is, Ben, tuck up behind him, get the draft down the long front straight. Either go to the outside, which is possible, and that's why he's defending the inside, but you can go to the outside and keep your foot in. Seen it happen in Formula One a bunch of times. Keep your foot in and be on the right side of the track for turn 2. And Casera is trying just that, but he hasn't got close enough, and Hurley senses an opportunity here as they head towards turn 3 again. Flat out through turn 3 and up to 4th gear. Hurley now has got a run on Casera here in the closing stages. 2 laps to go, and the racing is just superb at the moment.
Yeah, who has the advantage here, Jonathan? I kind of feel like Hurley's kind of hoping that Casera and Savagian.
Oh, and here goes Hurley! Hurley's got it 5! Hurley's gone for it! And he's got it! Josh Hurley brakes later than anybody at turn 5 and takes Casera, and that is an imperative to overtake, and that's the one that the one person Casera did not want to have overtake him, and I've got a feeling that Tyler may see red mist and have another go at Hurley before the end of this race. This is bragging rights. They want to head back on the plane tonight in first class, chinking the champagne glasses, but talking about the war stories of Barcelona. But Hurley now senses that Savejan is also able to be picked off as they head through 9. And you can see Casera right there in the mirrors of Hurley. He's got two things to worry about. He's got his own driving and the overtake, as well as Casera right there in his mirrors. And this is a cracking race. Casera absolutely not happy with that overtake at 5, and he'll come back onto the main straight. A freight train of 3 of them coming down past the checkered flag, but there's one more lap to go as they'll see the white flag, and here comes Hurley on Savejan at turn 1. Casera waiting to pass. Hurley goes to the inside, brakes late, goes for it, and does he pull it off? No, not quite. They're side by side, they touch. Here goes Casera. Oh no, Casera's gone through, and sadly Hurley and Savejan come off worse, but Tyler Casera chose his moment, and that was a very, very interesting piece of action there. But Casera's come off best, Hurley's come off worse.
Yeah, Tyler Casera, that was really well played in the Howe Racing Enterprises Corvette. And I just keep getting impressed by Casera and Hurley week after week, but I feel like that might have been a little bit over-aggressive there in 1 and 2.
Yeah, maybe, and we'll soon find out if they are penalized. Those penalties will go to the next race. And by the way, just talking ahead, we're not exactly sure where we're going. It's been a mystery, and there's been a few surprises. We didn't know we were coming to Barcelona, but talking to the organizers, they say they're going to throw in some doozies, maybe some tracks from yesteryear to come in, no less. Looking forward to that. But we are just getting into the fun part of this E-Championship. 4 rounds in of 8. The championship on the line, because Francis Jr. now 3.2 seconds up the road on Dylan Archer is going to win his 2nd race in the E-Championship and put himself into contention with Casera and with Hurley. And to say he had no qualifying, no chance of picking up any points in qualifying, that is brilliant stuff by Ernie Francis Jr., who just flashed by. There is Archer, Merrill, Allen, Casera, as we go back on board with Lawless Allen. This is his view into turn 1 for the final lap.
Yeah, we just saw Dylan Archer, it looked like at turn 5, take that perfect pass on Thomas Merrill to take 2nd place, which is a great time to pass with only 1 lap left. If he can finish in 2nd, I know that his dad and uncle will be super proud of him.
Well, this has been a fantastic showing of excellent sim racing. Francis leads by 3.3 seconds. Archer 2nd, Merrill 3rd on the podium at the moment. Allen is there, Casera 5th, Racino 6th. Hurley has managed to recover back to 7th. He's still ahead of Savejan. Correa, who got a 4th last time out, will finish in the top 10. I hope that encourages him to come back. And JP Southern will have another top 10. And Borchetta gets his best result, I think, 11th place. The 500 laps paying off for Scott Borchetta of Nashville, Tennessee.
Can Ernie do it? This would be amazing. Talk about a textbook, writing the book. You know, usually you can't make plans like this for racing, but there's something with Ernie Francis Jr. and his breathless team that he tells us what his plan is, and somehow he carries it out. And looks like as he's coming up to the checkered flag through all these cars that are just everywhere right now, he's going to finish this race.
Yeah, I call him America's best kept secret. No question about it. Ernie Francis Jr. has been pedaling away in Trans Am, a 6-time champion and now a 2-time winner in esports as he takes the checkered flag for 1 South. Brilliant stuff by the Floridan, and he takes the win ahead of Dylan Archer. And it looks like Merrill will take 3rd place. There he does. Here comes Hurley. He's going to finish behind Casera, but I think that'll be okay from Josh Hurley's point of view, given that he was in a real fisticuffs towards the end of that. Lawless Allen gets his best result of the E-Championship with 4th. Casera, a healthy 5th place by him. He was really able to take advantage of the crash between Hurley and Savejan. And Casera finishes 5th, Racino 6th, Hurley 7th, Savejan in 8th position. Juan Manuel Correa in 9th, and JP Southern rounds out the top 10, and Scott Borchetta gets a brilliant 10th place, and a much better finish also from Lotowski, taking 15th and just crossing the line there ahead of the number 6 of RJ Lopez. So, hey, look at the donuts! Donuts in Barcelona. Well, I didn't know you were allowed to do that, but they're doing it all the same. And everybody's trying to do their donuts, and it's time for some paella, I think, Ben. But that was just superb. I mean, great racing again. We saw the best. Few mistakes, sure, but great racing.
And not to brag, but remember what I said at the top of the broadcast, you never count Ernie Francis out, and he shows it again and again. Now in e-racing, always in Trans Am racing with us. That was a lot of fun, but man, I tell you what, Korea, I'm really impressed with the showing that we got from Korea. And again, we put on a great show with Casera and Hurley. This just keeps getting better week after week, Jonathan.
Yeah, no question about it. My thanks to Ben Sissel, and confirmation as we look over the Catalan landscape. Beautiful day here in Barcelona, Spain. They'll be out on the beach, I'm sure, tomorrow, relaxing after what has been a scintillating weekend of racing. I think we did this iconic circuit proud with Trans Am for the first time, but it's Ernie Francis Jr. with his second win of the season, taking the win here in race 2. Archer in second place. That's a good result from Dylan Archer. Thomas Merrill on the board in 3rd place and on the podium. Allen in 4th place. Casera 5th. Racino Hurley. Savagian Correa. Southern, Borchetta, Ridequist 12th. Parsons in 13th position. Then Lawrence 14th, and Lostowski rounding out the top 15. Fantastic racing. My thanks to Ben Sissel. Thanks to UMG and to Talk Motorsports and everybody involved in this esports presentation. I'm Jonathan Green. We'll see you next time out for some more muscle car magic. Franchitti up the inside of Adrian Fernandez. Montoya sends it on Mika Salo.